just wanted to blame everything on Canada. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Anyway, I let people know when I speak up about them, and I let them know what I said, most generally by sending them a link to what it is that I said. She didn't take the time to listen to it, obviously. She replied within about a minute of me sending her the link to the video. It's an 18-minute long video. She doesn't know what's in the video. She just wanting to put up hearts and ha-ha faces, which is cute. Well, actually, it's not. It shows a real detachment from reality and a real fucked up mentality. The right thing to do would be to focus on her dead husband. Get out there and try to catch the son of a bitch that did it. Try to track him down. Try to make sure he don't do that to anyone else. The least you can do is try. Now this lady, I would have made my second video about the guy that she's claiming killed him. But instead, I mean, look at the reply that she sent. Of course I speak up. Somebody's got to. And she typed something else to me, and I heard it ding. I don't know what the fuck she typed. Have not replied to it because I haven't seen it yet. I just heard the ding. This is one of the things about Natalie Bollinger's death and the sheer number of twisted people that are entertained by Natalie's death. Entertained. They don't care what actually happened. What they care about is their conspiracy theories. Someone calling themselves Nevermind typed what happened. Well, if you mean with her husband, I don't know. I'm willing to tell her story or let her tell her story. If she feels that it's true, I'm willing to give her that opportunity. If you're asking what happened with her and me, well, I don't know her. A lot of people have typed up and asked to be a part of groups that really I'm not comfortable allowing anyone in because people keep trying to destroy evidence. Nevermind typed, no, I mean with you. Well, I have Asperger's and Tourette syndrome. And for most of my life, I've been bullied and harmed because of it. I was forced into the system growing up because my parents couldn't stay off of drugs. And then when I turned 18, I was dropped off on the system with absolutely nothing. Nevermind typed, my name is Ida, pronounced Ida. And Nevermind typed me too. So, anyway, Natalie Bollinger was my friend. She became my friend when she was an adult. I'd been running off little kids from the homeless community for a while, especially the ones who hung out with the heroin addicts. It turned out that Natalie and Alicia were there when they were underage because they were selling their dad's drugs. Anyway, many years later, Natalie and her sister came back into my life when they were adults, and I allowed them to be a part of my life because they were adults. But they were also drug addicts by that point. They'd also been raped and beaten repeatedly by their father. Natalie thought she was in love with me, and Alicia Bollinger, her twin sister, had a crush on me. Now, that's not based on my opinion of the situation. That's based on the opinions of the 6 women who have actually read the conversations between me and Alicia Bollinger, as well as me and Natalie Bollinger. Now, with Natalie, she stated outright that she thought she was in love with me. Used to think she was in love with me, but not much has changed. That she was infatuated with me, a lot of things like that. It's not like it's something that I was keeping a big secret. Anyway, I did what Natalie and her sister wanted. No matter what, Natalie pretty much did what her sister Alicia wanted. She loved her sister that much. They were fighting over a boy while I was visiting in Virginia. Meanwhile, I was peer pressured into going to Virginia. Not just peer pressured. She said she'd kill herself if I wasn't already on the road, and then she tried. So I went to Virginia. Then they were insisting I do a bunch of things that later on they pretended I stalked them because I did what they asked. Never mind type, so you must miss her. What did her sister want? I don't know what her sister wanted. Probably to be loved properly. I do miss both of them. I also miss Maddie Boa, despite the fact that their rumors are what got all this shit started. Natalie Bollinger didn't tell anybody that, well, her sister knew, and Maddie Bowen knew that we had planned the trip together. There were a lot of people that I planned on seeing other than them that never spoke up about it until years after Natalie was killed. To throw it in my face and say, oh, you never showed up. Of course I didn't show up. I didn't have the money to show up. I was disabled, and I didn't have any friends that were willing to help or even listen to me. They were always telling me about how they're too busy. When you care about somebody, you make the time. That's what showed that I was their friend and they were not mine, is that I made the time for them when they needed it. When their loved ones were with us, and I spoke up immediately. Didn't even take me 10 minutes, no matter who it was. Anyway, when I was in Virginia, I got a broken phone that used to belong to Natalie. I got it from her sister, who worked at the cricket store. I was staying behind the cricket store in Virginia where she worked. Not Natalie. Natalie didn't work there anymore. She quit working there before I got there. Natalie was trying to get me a job working with her mom. Alicia Bollinger was trying to get me to rent a place there in Virginia. I mean, they basically had my whole life planned out for when I got to Virginia before I ever got there. Which is pretty odd. They were also fighting over a boy. And it took other people reading that stuff and saying, dude, her and her sister both thought they were in love with you. You were definitely the boy they were fighting over. I'm like, I'm not a boy, though. I'm a man. I'm not good looking. I'm not pretty. Pretty much all my life is taking ass whoopings over other people's opinions. Never mind, type, that's true. Oh, she seems to have been so kind. LOL. No LOL. She was kind. She was very kind. Natalie and Alicia were both very kind to me, and so was Maddie Boa, until they were embarrassed. Until there was the possibility of consequences because of honest mistakes that were easily remedied. I mean, obviously, I've got a busted phone that was busted when I was given the phone, and it's in Alicia Bollinger's name. First of all, do you change somebody's phone number from their name into yours and give them a different phone if they're stalking you and your sister? No, you don't. When I was in Virginia, they pretended that I stalked them, and the messages between us show that's not true. The message between us after I left Virginia showed that I was being harmed, and I was trying to get help stopping the harm. I was trying to get help stopping the abuse. I was trying to get help stopping the people who were hurting me because Maddie Boa lied. Natalie Bollinger pretended that I stalked her to Virginia. Alicia Bollinger pretended that I threatened to kill her and her family in Virginia. Maddie Boa pretended that I raped and molested Natalie and Alicia in Virginia. Meanwhile, they were all on drugs and all running around to a bunch of people that I knew. Fucking, well, they're drug contacts, obviously. The people that were not on meth, I didn't have an issue with. They weren't giving me issues. It was all people like Jonathan Hickson. Or, of course, there was the situation with Lexi Woods. There was a lot of people who promised they would talk to me. They didn't talk to me. They didn't even show up. No call, no shows. When I went to Boulder to see my loved ones, I literally drove 1,700 miles to Virginia. I drove from Chapel, Nebraska to Chesapeake, Virginia, so that Natalie wouldn't fucking kill herself. It was actually even further than that. I started making the trip once. That's when Jamie Curtis got a hold of me to let me know that James Payton and her were having issues and she needed a hero. So I turned around halfway through that trip. My car broke down, had a busted hose and some other issues. Lucky for me, at the rest area that I busted down at, the guy was driving close to Chapel. He dropped me off at Lucille's, or Lucy's, outside of Sedgwick, and that's only about 10 miles from Chapel, Nebraska. So I was able to get my car from there to Chapel and get it fixed. I was able to go help Jamie Curtis get out of that situation. I was able to get back to Chapel and earn the money to continue on to Virginia. There was other people I was going to see there, like Brett Roloff. He was in North Carolina at the time. I was going to see Amanda DeMette. She was in Louisiana at the time, Alabama. I was going to see my friend Sage. He was in Chicago. He actually sent stuff for my birthday to Natalie's mom's house while I was in Virginia. I didn't get to see any of that. Nevermind typed, I like weed these days. And Nevermind typed, I don't know who these people are, but it sounds like you need better friends. Yeah, that doesn't help. See, the thing is, I have to take abuse every day. That includes financial abuse. And every single day I do have to endure that. I have to endure being taken advantage of because I'm different. Not because I'm stupid. I have to endure being taken advantage of, not because I'm naive, but because I'm desperate. I desperately need help stopping the abuse. I desperately need help in not being homeless and stuck in these situations, being taken advantage of by drug addicts and drug dealers. Being homeless fucking sucks. And when you're just a little bit different, you're not going to get the good jobs. You're going to get the shit jobs that aren't going to pay you enough to even pay the rent over your head, let alone get food. If you're disabled like me, you might get disabled money. But then, of course, anything that you do that gets you more money on top of that is going to be taken out of your money. Oh, well, it shows that this month here that we've got documented, it shows that you made almost $400 on your own. So instead of giving you $800, we're only going to give you $400 for the next 2 years, and you'll have to get a lawyer to try to get readjusted. Oh yeah, and you're not getting paid enough money to hire a lawyer. Ha ha, hee ho. Because I'm homeless, cops and hospitals automatically treat me like I must be a junkie. The general public treats me like I must want to molest children and rape people. That I must be some sort of filthy druggie. Nevermind typed, no, you don't have to. Why? Who's taking advantage of you? Why don't you move to somewhere and live off the land? First of all, my disabilities make it real difficult to do that. Second of all, there ain't no just living off the land. I got my stuff up in the mountains at a camp 20 miles away. I can't afford to go to the camp. As far as moving somewhere else, I've done that repeatedly. I've moved off grid repeatedly. There's also the fact that I can't go very far off grid because of my physical disabilities. Never mind type, you can learn from YT. Let me tell you something, alright? I've been a homeless person pretty much since I turned 18. Before that, I read a lot of books. A lot of the stuff that I read in those books I remembered and I utilized when I got out. I've run kitchen camps. I've volunteered at kitchen camps. I've helped to feed a lot of homeless people, and I've been the homeless liaison in Boulder, Colorado, as well as the person who takes care of the new arrivals. There's nothing that you're going to suggest that I'm not already aware of. You might have some obscure place that you might think of that I've never heard of. There's a possibility of that. But the fact remains that when you're called mentally ill, you have to have a friend or family member who actually cares. When you're victimized, they need to care right then and there. And that right then and there is what shows whether or not they care. If you go to your mother and you say, "Mom, I was just raped," if the first thing she does is start reminiscing about the time she was raped back in 1967, or she starts telling you that it's pretty common and starts going off on a tangent about that, or, of course, she wants to tell you it's no big thing, why don't you move on? Why don't you move to somewhere else? For somebody who's autistic, our support network is the most important thing. Our phones are our lifeline because they allow us to get in contact with those people. But there are certain lies that people can tell, and when they tell those lies, it gets people killed. Never mind type. There's this guy who travels with his sheep. Aaron Houseless, Not Homeless, I think his website was. But he's on here. Yes, ma'am. And there's a lot of those. Never mind type. You could build a tiny home like a cabin. Yep, these are a lot of suggestions I've had a whole bunch of. But of course, now that you're aware that I have disabilities, it should make a little more sense to you. I could build a tiny home. But saying that, people assume that means that I could get a job and build tiny homes for a living. No, I couldn't. It takes me 10 times longer to do things disabled than anyone's willing to pay a person to do. And it comes down to having a place. You can't just go squat off in the woods. The rangers will come get you. They'll also give you a big fine that you're not going to be able to pay for having your stuff there. See, never mind typed, I'm disabled too, and I moved out of the city to an island. That's very cool. Never mind typed, books are good, and okay, I'm sorry, I won't suggest anything. Never mind typed, I'm mentally ill too, so I know what you're saying. You're not mentally ill. You have a diagnosis, and your diagnosis is specific. The term mentally ill is used as an excuse to harm all of us. It's used to discredit us and discredit our words. And we get into the habit of using that term ourselves, especially when we don't want people to know what our diagnoses are. And that's where we get into, especially here in the United States, a whole bunch of regulations, HIPAA regulations and guidelines that aren't followed when it comes to the patient. These things are only used to assist the hospitals or police in getting away with breaking the law. They don't protect them. Never mind type, yes, my parents were similar, but they didn't know better. I can't work because there are no work from home jobs in the UK, in Shetland. Oh my God, I love your ponies. Love your ponies. I know you probably get sick of hearing shit like that, but I love your ponies. Also, some of the ruins on the island are really cool. If you, like, posted up some pictures, that would be... Well, that's my interest right there. That's also taking it off topic, isn't it? Never mind type. The weather is awful here. The electricity cuts out. Never mind type. Yes. Have you read Thomas Sowell's? No, I haven't. Never mind typed. I love the ponies too. I have... I guess they're not in here anymore. They're in my camp up in the mountains. I've got some books on horses, even though I can't ride. Never mind typed. I've got some videos of my dog and cat and sheep. Absolutely. We have so many jokes for people from Wyoming, Nebraska, and Scotland about sheep. So I'll be kind and not tell you any of those jokes. By the way, I'm from Nebraska. I was born in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. If you look up the name Malcolm X and read what state he was born in the United States, he's from Nebraska too. Anyway, this lady that I was making the video about, you know, she doesn't take the situation seriously. This is what shows me that her husband's death was no big thing to her, that it was something that she expected to gain from. And if she expected to gain from it, the chances are pretty good that she had a part in it. As far as the stuff that she has typed to me, women have been convicted on less, and men have been convicted on far less. Let's see. Never mind typed. They do horse therapy, but I can't afford it. And cool, I'm from Transylvania originally. Ah, very cool. What do people know about Transylvania here in the United States? Not much. They know about Dracula. Other than that, not much. As far as horse therapy goes, one of the women that I knew in Boulder, Colorado, her name was Nicole Jarrell, and her dream was to have horse therapy here in the United States, in Colorado, for victims of trauma. The problem is she also had a sick fixation with shoving a carrot up a man's backside, and since she had horses, these weren't little carrots, this was carrot friggin' Zilla. And when she stabbed me in the butthole with the carrot, well, that let me know that therapist is actually 2 words, the rapist. She'd talked about doing that to me repeatedly. And I'd let her know I wasn't okay with that. I wasn't comfortable with it, and I wasn't interested in it. So she tried to play it off like that wasn't actually a fetish. And then one day when I was washing some dishes, getting ready to have us some food, that's when she decided to walk right up behind me and stab me right in the butthole with carrot friggin' Zilla. And yeah, that was the end of going to her place. Later on, when Natalie died, before Natalie died, I had to get a hold of Nicole Jarrell to try to get some help with stopping the abuse by Natalie Bollinger and her friends and family. That didn't end up happening. Now, never mind. I'm glad that you typed this stuff. Kind of give you some company for a little bit. I recommend looking up the name Natalie Bollinger. Natalie Bollinger. Hell, you can even pick a country. They've been posting stuff up since 2017, December, when she disappeared. The abuse that her and her friends put me through for a whole year before she was killed. And people just wanted to look the other way or tell me what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Then when she got her brains blown out and it was all over the news, they just wanted to run and hide and pretend that they didn't know nothing. Telling me I need better friends isn't going to get me better friends. It's also not going to remedy the situation. It's not going to get me any of these things that were taken from me back. All of my back payments for being disabled were spent on paying people who were predatory towards me for being predatory towards me. I had to pay the courts and the police and travel to courts and a whole shit ton of other appointments. I had over a dozen appointments just in the first week after Natalie disappeared, just so you know. 11 appointments. How was I going to afford all that shit? And a lot of people took advantage of me, and they continue to do so. I'm forced into homelessness and then expected to do things that can't be done from homeless. Never mind typed, oh no, that's awful, that's abuse. Okay, I will. No, that was not a good suggestion, but I don't think anyone can get this money back for you. That's not true, actually. The thing is that money was supposed to go to taking care of me. It was supposed to be for taking care of a disabled and at-risk adult. There is also the job that each and every one of these agencies are supposed to do by law. They are paid to do that. The fact that I was forced to spend my money that's supposed to take care of me, to jump through hoops to do their jobs, and the fact that I was deprived of literally every resource necessary to do that, and forced to waste my money on those things anyway, is pretty fucking horrible. Never mind typed, I know the system is rigged against some people. And, oh, so have you tried a pro bono lawyer? There is no such thing as a pro bono lawyer. There's no such thing. There's just not. All right, if you've got it on the news, all over the news, that you are a horribly victimized person, then yes, there might be a lawyer who wants to get a hold of you and represent you. There are definitely going to be ambulance chasers that are after that money. But as far as a pro bono lawyer, when people are committing criminal acts against you and you're an at-risk adult, especially when homeless, especially when a male, you literally have to have a friend or family member who cares, or you will be abused. There is no money to do all these things that people suggest. There is zero money. And as far as the system being rigged against some people, only if they're alone. Are you easier to rape if you're out with 5 of your friends and you're sober? Or are you easier to rape if you're drunk as a fucking skunk in somebody else's house? Now, when you are raped because your car broke down and somebody says, oh, come on in, you can use my phone, and then you go in. And then they rape you, and then they say, oh, well, obviously she was drunk. That couldn't have happened. I was just trying to help her out. Obviously she was drinking and driving, and that's the reason she had the problem with the vehicle. And it sucks. And then there's a lot of people who want to claim that they can't do anything from foreign countries. Oh, I can't do anything, I'm in Australia. I can't do anything, I'm in Canada. I can't do anything, I'm in the UK. I can't do anything, I'm a Caledonian. There's quite a few Caledonians who have gotten a hold of me to say that they wish they could do something. Well, they can. Any one of them can speak up. Let's see, never mind type. I know how it goes. I'm going through this in the UK. Well, that's why I have a channel, is so that we can all speak up. But the thing is, I end up speaking up for myself and speaking up for others, but nobody's speaking up for me. Nobody's helping me to make any of these calls. When I'm abused, I need to try to go to a friend or family member immediately and turn it in, and that's what I do. Well, we don't really care. You're not the important one here. I'm the black sheep of the family because I'm honest. I got a feeling if you're autistic, you're probably very honest too. And it gets you in trouble because neurotypicals are all a bunch of goddamn liars. Never mind type. I know how it goes. I'm going through this in the UK. Oh, in the UK they are pursuing government organizations. Yeah, that's what I mean. I know. That's why I moved here, to be away from people. Yeah, I don't have the money to keep moving. I've had to move over 50 times since Natalie Bollinger was killed. Never mind typed. I'm autistic, and that's why I lost my job at the wool mill. That's very common too. 85% of us don't have jobs. Over 85% of us don't have jobs. We can't keep jobs because we're different, and different is not accepted worldwide. There's even places that have travel bans against people who are autistic. That includes the UK right now. You can't prevent black people from coming into your country. That would be bad. That would be wrong. You can't prevent brown people from coming into your country. That would be bad. That would be wrong. But autistic people, yeah, you can say, they're autistic. We don't want them here. They've got a reputation. Yeah, we've got a reputation for getting taken advantage of, speaking up, and getting fucked for speaking up. Never mind typo, by the way, we have the jokes about sheep, but with Welsh people. Oh my god, that's a bad idea. Don't make jokes like that about the Welsh. The Welsh are historically bad-tempered, and the Scottish have historically never been conquered. So, yeah, unless you want to kill a bunch of Welshmen, it's probably not a good idea to make sheep jokes about the Welsh. When you make sheep jokes about the Scottish, that's fine. The Scottish can handle their own. You want to make sheep jokes about people in Nebraska, that's fine. Nebraskans can handle their own. That's the reason we get overstuffed boots. But yes, we're all well aware of the Welsh reputation. We're well aware of the Scottish reputation. We're aware that Scotland has never been conquered by force. Ever. No one in the history of ever has ever conquered Scotland by force. No, we had asswipes like Edward the Longshanks. And I'm not talking about the movie Braveheart with William Wallace, because if you know anything about the time that William Wallace fought, he would not have been wearing a battle tartan or anything close to it. He would have been dressed as a dandy. Don't pretend like I'm talking shit on William Wallace. That was the style of the day. Just like in William Shakespeare's day, it was very common to wear a codpiece. If you don't know what a codpiece, you could look it up. A codpiece is obviously to accentuate your male attributes. It's basically a jock strap for the outside of your overly baggy trousers. Never mind typed LOL hee hee. There were some Russian planes in our airspace the other day. I'm more worried about communism. I was born in a communist dictatorship. I wouldn't be worried about communism, not from the Russians. Even the Russians don't want communism. That's one of the reasons that Vladimir Putin has to keep on going on to the public showing and saying public shit that appeases the public. Most of the Russians ain't down with communism either, because they grew up under communist dictatorships. Kind of like after Franco, the Spanish went, you know what, we're done with dictatorships. Yep, true story. Never mind typed. No, I'm from the WEF. Alright, if you paid attention to my channel, you'd know I was speaking about that previously. Basically a Warsaw Pact nation, correct? Never mind type, not me, I'm not Fro. And then it says message retracted. Obviously, Nevermind was typing something that didn't get finished. I'm down to 5% battery. And so she retracted it because it wasn't the message that she was trying to send. And that's fine. I'm not from WEF. Klaus Schwab is. Well, that's a name worth looking up. Anytime somebody got a name like Klaus, we Americans perk our ears up. There's a reason that during the movie Die Hard, they had bad guys named Klaus. It's an important German name. Here in America, it's hard German names like that, or of course Gunnar and Gunther, that we really, really pay attention to, don't we? Well, it looks like I'm down to 6% battery on this here phone. Lucky for me, I've got an external battery that I've been charging up this whole time. Transylvania is not technically Transylvania here in the United States. I believe it's, on our maps, it's part of Bulgaria. But I'd have to look that up to make sure that I'm not completely wrong about it. Never mind, type Romania. Yes, Romania. I'm pretty sure the way that the lines are drawn on most of our maps, because we do the world census thing, where we redo the maps like every 10 or 12 years. Never mind, typed Hungarian never mind, typed, but I was a minority there. Hungarian ancestry. Yep, and that's another Warsaw Pact nation. Kinga Nichols, she was one of the witnesses situation with Natalie. She's angry. A lot of her family is still in Hungary, matter of fact. Although Kinga Nichols is an American citizen, which is pretty cool. Even though she did some pretty cowardly things and helped some pretty bad people to get away, I am glad that if anything happens over there in Hungary, she's here in the United States where she's less likely to get killed. Anyway, again, I highly recommend looking up the name Natalie Bollinger. If you look up the name Natalie Bollinger, you get to see my face. You get to see and hear the horrible things said about me. And you also, if you are able to watch any of those things all the way through, you might even notice that, they don't bother to tell people I'm not the one that killed Natalie until about the last 5 minutes of the show. It's all about hyping me up as if I'm some sort of super psycho serial killer rapist. And then, oh, no, it was a pizza delivery boy who killed her. Never mind, type, okay, you try to take care of yourself and be well. I'm doing the best I can, but like I said, I need people to speak up for me. One of the worst things that we have going on right now with autistic people is that none of us are being heard. It's not like BLM, where black kids have black parents who are going to speak up because they understand. No, those of us who are autistic, we deal with our parents telling us it's our fault. It must be, because we're the ones who are weird. We're the ones who are different. If we would just try harder to fit in, that's not the way it works, is it? Never mind, tried. Type not to think about those people if you can. Well, here's the thing. I'm separated from my loved ones. I've been separated from them since 2015. That's about 2 years before Natalie Bollinger got her brains blown out. Just a little over, actually. When you don't have any friends or family that you can see or talk to, it's mostly just people who are expected to be nice and friendly because they work at Starbucks, or they work at the grocery store, or they work at McDonald's. Or, of course, people out here on the streets who are on drugs or alcohol, and they're nice to me because they want money for drugs or alcohol. They'll make promises in exchange to get that drugs and alcohol. Oh, could I get some money? I'll help you out tomorrow. I'll help you out tomorrow. I'll pay you when you do the work. A lot of times I'll pay people just for showing up, because that way if they're completely broke, at least they can buy something to eat on the way out of town. Like say we got to go up to my spot 20 miles up in the mountains. Well, if I drive all the way up there with someone who's going to help me, and they spend all their time up there doing drugs, pretending like they got to poop, and then go and poop for 45 minutes and coming back talking 200 miles an hour, I just ended up spending a bunch of money to pay somebody for some help because I can't do it myself. And I had to be desperate enough to hire somebody who's on drugs and hope that they'll help. Meanwhile, I gotta hope that somebody like you will speak up, just like the parent of an autistic child would, or a black neighbor would, if their neighbor is black and gets shot by the police, or like a black parent would. Here in America, a disabled person is a lot more likely to be killed by the police than a black person. About 60 million black people in America. There's about 60 million disabled people in America. And 24% of those killed by police last year were black. 51% were disabled. 61% were homeless. Out of a population size of only around 200,000. But the reason that population size is only around about 200,000 is because 81% of those incarcerated in the United States were homeless when they were arrested. Every single judge in America can be arrested and convicted on federal charges for this. Every single judge in America. Never mind typed, oh no, stop doing that. The police are out of control. Yeah, that's why rule number 1 on the streets here is you never talk to the police because the police are not your friends. Well, it's never okay to talk to the police alone. But if you've got a friend who's informed and actually gives a shit, they can stop the police when they start committing crimes. Like as soon as they start talking over the victim and selling their own narrative. If you've got a friend or family member who goes in with you to turn it in, or at least makes phone calls with you, that allows you to turn it in safely. It also allows you to record it, which means that you have evidence of it. But the number 1 thing here is to make sure that the victim does not have to turn it in alone, and that it's turned in as quickly as possible. Now, to the person calling themselves NVR Mind, when I end the video, chances are pretty good that people are not going to be able to see what you typed. But I did take screenshots of it if you ever want to get a hold of me because you want proof that you did. And it also is kept as proof that I did talk to somebody. That there was somebody typing, that I'm not just some nut job talking to myself on YouTube. I hope that makes sense to you. And please forgive me, I'm about to relieve myself. You're welcome for sharing. Thank goodness I have a bottle to piss in. Also, thank goodness I quit drinking in 2001. Goodness I don't do drugs. And unfortunately, I'm stuck out here with disabilities that, well, if you want to pretend I'm on drugs because I have Tourette syndrome, you're breaking the law, but people are going to, quote unquote, understand. Oh, well, you gotta understand he was moving erratically. Well, you're fucking putting your hand on your gun and harassing a fucking homeless disabled man. Of course I'm gonna move erratically. I've got Tourette syndrome and it comes out even worse when I'm scared. It's hard to mask all the time, to pretend that I'm not different all the time, because I have to be afraid that I'll be victimized if I don't pretend to be normal all the time, if I don't control my Tourette syndrome all the time. All right, let me see. This message is held for review. Well, we're going to see it. If I get handcuffed, I'm freaking the fuck out. A lot of people do. For me, I don't freak the fuck out if I'm put in handcuffs. I do freak the fuck out when people are fucking hurting me while I'm in handcuffs. And that's a tactic that the police here use frequently. This is one of the things that I get pissed off at women for doing to men. Changing a word just slightly and magically it's all okay, because the police do the same thing. They do what's called pain compliance. Literally, the definition is exactly the same definition as torture. The reasons are the same exact reasons as torture. But because the police say pain compliance instead of torture, somehow that's more socially acceptable to the public. When you say mentally ill instead of autistic, you are insinuating to the public that you're a serial killer like Jeffrey Dahmer, or that you're a serial rapist and killer like Jack the Ripper, or that you think you're some sort of messiah like David Koresh, or that you're off in the woods like one of your suggestions was to go off in the woods, right? Well, if you go off in the woods, people pretend you're a Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Alright, I tried to show your comment where it said if I get handcuffed, I'm freaking the fuck out, but it isn't letting me. It says another moderator handled it. Never mind, type, I don't understand how you're supposed to stay calm. I have CPTSD. That is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I got the same thing. It's hard not to when you grow up getting beaten, getting raped, being talked over and ignored. When somebody else is abused, they might do something about the abuser, but they're not going to do anything about your abuser. In several situations when I was younger, there were some abusers that were abusive in a sexual way. Because they had a position of power, they knew they could get away with it. Now, I was treated like I was crazy for telling on these people. And later on, they went to prison because they were doing these things to children. Pretending that Sean Schwartz is crazy and using the term mentally ill to loosely associate us with schizophrenia is the most horrible thing you can do to yourself or others. CPTSD is an actual diagnosis. Mentally ill is not a diagnosis. It never has been, and hopefully never will be, and therefore it should be stricken from all records and from these books, because it's not our diagnosis. You're not Jack the fucking Ripper. The fact that you have CPTSD means that if you are raped, Your rapist can say, oh, well, she's mentally ill. And then it's magically fine. Because you're mentally ill. You must be a schizophrenic who's delusional and making it up. No, you have CPTSD. That is specifically what your disability is. You are not mentally ill. You have post-traumatic stress disorder from abuse. And just so you know, neglect is abuse as well. Never mind typed, well, I think you said some logical things, Ted Kaczynski. Never mind typed, yes, it's a disgusting system, and that's why I don't trust doctors. Well, same here. But here in the United States, we're lucky enough not to get stuck on a waiting list for 6 months to see a GP over a situation that's happening right fucking now. I will give that to American doctors. They'll blow us off in person today if we go in today. Whereas, if you're in the UK...
Yes, I'm here, but I need you to cash these for me so I can go pay somebody back, and then I got a couple more errands I gotta go do, and then I'll come back and go help you, okay?
I do an awful lot of favors to try to get help. Lucky for you, I like you, and lucky for you, I'm aware that you need to eat. I just hope you spend it on food. Wait, hold on. I want to do the guy in the locker room thing since you got your leg up like that. Hey, bro, get your cock out of my face. All right. I'm going to finish my video here real quick. It'll take about 2 minutes because I'm going to say goodbye to Nevermind. Oh, say good. You want to say hello to Nevermind? Literally right there it says Nevermind.
It's big country, y'all.
That's Tennessee. Y'all have heard me on this channel bitching about him, and of course you've also heard him on my channel helping out. You've also gotten to hear him on my channel about the situation with that crazy lady Molly. The other thing is, regardless, he's nice to me, he comes up and talks to me even though I talk shit. And I'm nice to him even though he talks shit. Well, it's not shit if it's true, is it? Anyway, so I'm going to ditch you because I'm going to go get this gentleman some money for turning in his soda bottles. Just so you know, it's a lot of fucking work for 14 fucking bucks. How many hours a night you spend riding around on that goddamn bike to get your 14 bucks? 4 hours?
5 or 6, sometimes 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It just depends.
Nevermind typed, I'll leave a comment so people know who you were talking to. And she also typed, hello Tennessee, okie dokie. And it's kind of how it is. Alright, y'all stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's too. And no victim left behind. Not even if they're a hobo, not even if they're a junkie. Not even if they're white, not even if they're black. Not even if they're from fucking Tennessee. Although, if they're from Tennessee, I'd think twice about it. No, I'm just fucking with you. You're good. And thank you, Nevermind. Nevermind type, take care, Sean. See you soon. Well, I hope to see you soon, too. Also, if you type at me, DOGGEDROMAN@gmail.com, I'll send you some evidence with the situation with Natalie. You'll get to see how fucked up it is. All right.